I'm in love with murals. I'm in love with like big paintings, big drawings outside on walls, buildings, in the middle of the street, things like that. But I always think that whenever I do something in with art practice or art making, I'm always drawing. Like drawing
Yeah.
is my medium. It doesn't matter if it's on a sketchbook or on a mural or on different light bulbs, putting together a big installation. And I feel that the way that I think about all those drawings or the murals or the installations have to do with thinking about those things in a drawing kind of way and more than a painter or a sculptor. And when I say that, I'm just saying I think about lines and dots and connections and structure more than texture or a surface or a combination of colors. It's more like drawing is the main logic of everything. And and it's what I really like to do. Like whenever I'm not doing anything outside, I'm just sketching something. I have to be doing something with my sketchbook. Someone asked me this question last month with there was an interview and something, and we had a conversation. And it's so difficult for me to, when I think about it, to like understand the level of influence that has in my work, because everything that I do has to do with that. Everything that I do has to do with being bilingual and speaking Spanish and growing up with a particular type of soup and a particular type of coffee and speaking in this way and just moving around with a different weather and a different atmosphere, um plants, animals. It's a whole other experience that it's always nurturing the things that I do. It's always like impacting the things that I work with in a direct or in an indirect way. Sometimes it's a little bit more obvious, sometimes it's a little bit more on the side, but everything has to do with me being from Colombia, definitely. And also with me migrating here.
Yeah.
Migration for me, it's always been about like adapting. A lot of it has to do with adapting, but it's also about seeing things in a different way
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
and and finding a way of sharing that view or sharing that new perspective with people around you. Maymont, we started conversations with the park around doing something that was going to happen during Garden Glow, but mainly the invitation was to do something um, that was more of a participatory art installation or a participatory art piece,
Mhm.
which is very interesting because I usually do things like that with when I do installations or murals, but also as a teacher, I do stuff like that. I just want people to get involved in the making of things and not just looking at me doing stuff. It's more like, no, we're going to do this together, and I want you guys to get your hands dirty and be creative with that. So they reached out to me because of that, and immediately the first idea that I had was to invite people to draw on light bulbs but at the beginning of it, I didn't know if that was possible because I thought, well, it's going to be a little bit dangerous because glass light bulbs are going to break
Mhm.
and kids are not going to be able to work with that. But they have an amazing team of people who work with different materials, different installation things for light and sound. And they showed me really good options of plastic light bulbs that I could work with. And in there, with that idea, I thought about just giving people um like oil-based paint markers to work on something that could be a little bit more resistant to sunlight and to water and things like that, and at the same time that it would be easy to use. and in the middle of that technicity, because the first thing that came to my mind was the technical part of it. Like, I want people to get involved and I want people to participate, but I also know that this is an event that happens at night, and that the main topic is light, or is to play with light. So that's there. But then when I went to visit the park and they showed me a couple of locations to have the installation at, I really fell in love with this site that was the Eastern RVArt. And you know, that's a family of 3 trees that it's amazing. It's beautiful, you know, on its own. And people already have a connection with that, especially kids. I feel like kids just go and play up there and have their good moment up there. So it's a very like active and alive spot. And I fell in love with it, and I just said I want to work with this. And in the middle of that combination between using light bulbs and drawing and then having the trees, this idea of inviting people to express, not only, you know, not only visiting the event to see what's glowing outside, but to express glow inside, what's glowing in yourself, was a little bit like what was clear to me. It was like I want to try, and I've been trying to do that every now and then with some art pieces, but I'm trying to connect in a more direct way what happens outside with what happens inside of each person, and then inviting a bigger group of people to do that was very interesting, because I thought it's cool to try to connect, uh like a big number of inner glows, like inner expressions, with things that are happening outside. And the natural thing was just to talk about glow, inner glow, in the context of that event. And it was also like I was trying to keep it very simple in terms of inviting people of all ages, you know, and different backgrounds, to draw and to express what their inner glow would look like in one of those light bulbs. And so I would talk a little bit to people about with those words, and then say, do you feel like inside when you glow, what color is happening? You know, what color is kind of coming out? Is it bluish? Is it purplish? Is it yellow? And what texture is it? Is it like little dots, or is it like lines, or is it more like a big piece of color just coming out? And people with that would just start doing things and creating their own inner glow. And at the end, or when I put the installation all together for the event, it was really like nice, and just a very particular kind of beautiful, how all of those elements came together before the event, during the installation, because I had these beautiful drawings from people, and also the trees, and also just that space in the middle of the trees. And so my work was to put that all together in a way that people felt, um like a warm space, like a space, a little bit of a space of meditation, or a little bit of space of like a space of contemplation, or something like that. A little bit different also from what was going around in the rest of the event, in the other spots of the event. And so I think that worked. I haven't been to Garden Glow before last year. So I also didn't know what was the whole idea. I saw pictures and it was beautiful, but I also knew that they were inviting me to do an art installation, having that like human touch in mind, and thinking that I was going to be able to create a particular space that involved that type of energy. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, at some point I thought it wasn't going to happen, I really thought like this is too, I just don't know so many things about using so many cables and technical stuff and the time and blah blah blah. But it was one of those projects that came together on its own. Really, everything just was coming along very easily, and I wasn't really making any effort to like to push it that much. A lot of it had to do with Maymont having a very good infrastructure with people and technicians and schedules and things like that to support me. And literally at the beginning, the invitation was for me to think about the installation and for them to do it. I wasn't going to like, physically do stuff. But me being me and being an artist that likes to do things with his hands, I really wanted to get involved. And I just enjoyed the whole process. There was a part of it that maybe was the most difficult one, when we were putting everything together.
Oh yeah.
And because I didn't have like a blueprint or a map
Wow.
or anything to tell people that was working with me how the installation was going to look like. And so I just had to tell them, you, we're going to figure it out very slowly, and you have to trust me. You
Yeah.
have to trust me, and we'll see. It's not one of those things that you do in a cookie cutter way. It's more like you built it up and you built it up, and it's all about sensitivity and finding a way of recognizing what's working and what's not in the spot, like on the spot, like on the actual. Ooh, it's hard. It's hard also because it changes so much my opinion or my or the things that I like change so much depending on the year. I tend to like the things that I do the latest. I tend to like the things that I'm doing now. But I also love the two installations at Maymont. The last one, the Inner Glow one, and this year that was called Positiva, which involved almost the same things.
Exactly.
And also I think there's a mural called Together We Rise that's very close to that's by Broad Street, very close to the VCU police department.
Oh yes.
I really like that one, and I tend to move towards those pieces or towards those ideas to try to do something similar to the mural or similar to the installation and see what happens in there. So when I graduated from art school a while ago, I started being a teacher with high school kids in Colombia because I'm from Colombia. And I was maybe what, 25, 26 years old.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And so my first job was as a teacher. And I've always thought about teaching as an art practice, as a way of making art. It's like if you think about painting and drawing and sculpture as a way of making art, for me, it's also like teaching is a way of making art. And you change the materials and you change, the surfaces and the objectives and things like that, but you can assume it in that particular way. So I've been teaching for a very long time. And then I changed. I started teaching high school, then I moved to middle school. Then I taught at a different school for like 5 years to elementary kids. When I moved here to Richmond, to Virginia, I started working at the Sacred Heart Center, which is a local nonprofit, um, as an art teacher, mainly, but creating the art program for that center from scratch and just thinking, okay, how can we offer art classes for Latino students in this area, and just give them like a high quality art education, or at least an art experience that involves something cool, something like it's not just a regular painting or doodling or whatever. It's more like we're going to do things that are happening outside. We're going to do things that are a little bit more contemporary and with different mediums. And I've been doing things with Art 180
Oh yeah.
as an art teacher, just leading a residency with them last semester, and workshops every now and then. Every now and then, I'm trying to like be very, very organized with my time as a teacher, because if I don't, teaching absorbs me.
Yeah,
Like teaching
exactly.
just takes away all of my time and all of my energy. And so I'm trying to keep it very, very limited so I can focus on other stuff, on art making specifically. I mean, it's always important to me, uh, when I think about me, before graduating from high school, being at school. Um, the way that I kept on drawing or kept on connected to art was very was very much by passion. It was like I couldn't really hold it. But at the same time, I knew that I had to invest on it, because passion on its own, without work or without practice, it kind of fades away.
Yeah.
So once I knew, I was passionate about it, I started working a little bit harder on what I wanted to learn from that, and what I wanted to do with that. So definitely a combination of passion, identifying your passion, and
Yes.
working on that is a very good one. Um, and also, I think one of the main things that I've been talking about with young people this year, at least, is to try to have, uh, a very particular conversation with what you're doing. Like, don't don't try to reproduce the conversations or the drawings or the artists that you're seeing on Instagram, or that you're seeing out there, just doing their thing. I fall into that, and it's like it's lovely, and people are doing amazing things, but just try to find what's the conversation that you want to have. What is it that you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about inner life? Do you want to talk about nature? Do you want to talk about rocks? Do you want to talk about soup? Do you want to talk about coffee? Like, what is that? What is it that you want to talk about? And explore that in the middle. Because if you just follow, the style, or you follow what's trending, or you follow what's successful, it's gonna fall. It's gonna fall super quickly, and you're gonna find yourself, knowing a lot of technicities, and knowing a lot of, like, um, I guess, ways of resolving visual stuff or resolving creative stuff, but nothing attached to your center, nothing attached with, like, roots to what you really are, and to
Yeah.
what you really want to do with your art in life.